Welcome to another episode of Anthony Speaks Life. This is the podcast of Anthony Speaks Life. I thank you for coming in. Let's get started. Got no time to waste because the time you lose is the time you never get back. So let's get into it. The one thing that changed everything for me is something critical that happened in my life. Once I realized this one thing, it has actually made my life not only better, but catapulted me to even another level of not even living, but another level of thinking. But before we get into it, I want everybody to know, once you come into this live or in this replay, I want you to smash the like button. If you don't know what you're doing, tap the screen twice on your iPhone if you're on your desktop. Hit the like button if you're on your Android. Like I always say, I can't stand Androids. But anyway, smash the screen on your Android phone also and give me these likes because I want the math to be mathing correctly. We got two people here, we got two likes. That's the correct math. If it's two people and one like, it's not mathing correctly. So everybody that's coming in, let them know. Smash the like button, leave comments. If you are a subscriber to my channel, you can leave a comment. If you're not a subscriber, you can't leave comments. If you're out what's going on in the fastest growing community on YouTube, the My Time community, where we help you grow your channel as you grow your life. And if you grow your life, your channel got no other reason not to grow. But what I'm talking about today is the podcast, Anthony Speaks Life. And the topic we're going to talk about today, the one thing that changed everything in my life. So let me say hello to Bless. Hello, Bless. How you doing? Thanks for coming in. Thanks for showing up and supporting. You're always a good supporter. I thank you for coming in. Everybody else who's here, you can't leave a comment, subscribe, and you can start leaving comments. So let's get into it. The one thing that changed everything for me is the mindset. It's my mindset. And when you change your mindset, you can change your life. And you say, well, if I change my mindset, what in my mindset I have to change? I'm going to get into it. There's a lot of things that you can change in your life if you change your mindset. And when I say change your mindset, change the way you look at things. The things you look at will change. Change the way you respond to things. The things you respond to will change. That's a famous quote. And I want you to put that in your mind. If you change the way you look at things, the things you look at will change. If you change the way you respond to things, the things you respond to will change. And that happened to me years ago when my father died. Some of y'all know the story. You're part of the My Time community. Some of y'all don't. My father died. He had a massive heart attack. I was in the house alone with him. I didn't know what was going on. And a couple of weeks before, I saw a TV show that taught you how to do CPR, but I didn't pay attention. Since I didn't pay attention, when the opportunity came for me to implement that CPR, I couldn't remember. And he died in my arms. And I carried that for years, carried it for years. I thought it was my fault. I said I could have saved him. I could have done the CPR correctly. He might still be alive today. See his granddaughter go to college. See his granddaughter graduate. See his granddaughter get married. All these things. I carried that for maybe 10 years, beating myself up. Not only beating myself up, having a low self-esteem. I couldn't remember one little thing that could have saved somebody's life, my father's life. I met him when I was 10 years old. He died when I was 16. And I was in my mindset, I was a failure. I couldn't even remember. I couldn't do anything right. And that experience had my mindset set that I was a failure. But the one thing that changed is when I heard somebody say, it's not your fault. It's not your fault. If you're not aware of how things are done, you don't have any awareness of how it's done. It's not your fault until you get the awareness in your mind. If you don't have the awareness in your mind, you can't blame yourself because you don't even know that it exists. If there's things that you don't know exist, you can't blame yourself for not operating in it. How can you blame yourself for not being a millionaire if you don't know the steps on how to become a millionaire? How can you blame yourself for not winning a Nobel Peace Prize if you don't know what it takes to win a Nobel Peace Prize? You can't blame yourself for something that you're not aware of. And if you're aware of it and you didn't pay attention, yeah, you can say, man, I wish I would have paid attention, but you still not, or you should not have that mindset that you was a failure because you didn't pay attention the first time. When I went through that, thank you. When I went through that, I was 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21 years old, up until maybe 24, 25 years old, almost 20, almost 10 years. I was going through that. The low self-esteem. Man, oh man, my father, I was the reason my father died. Oh man, I should have paid attention. And that made my mind trigger every time I try to do something. Man, I gotta pay attention. I gotta be so focused. That was being so focused, I missed the key piece of certain things. Because in that mindset saying, man, you messed up before, you better not mess up again. Oh man, you see the blueprint right here, you better pay attention. I'm saying this to myself in my mind. Maybe you say the same thing to yourself in your mind. Things that you went through that left a scar or left a memory that you connected with failure, saying, man, I failed. Man, I messed up. And every time you get an opportunity to advance yourself, that thought comes in your mind telling you, man, you messed up before, you're going to mess up again. Don't even try. How many people have that in their mindset now? I'm talking to somebody. I'm not on here just talking about myself. I'm giving you my experience of what happened to me and how this one thing changed my life. If that happened to you, that you had something that triggered you in your youth or maybe in your adult years, something that you experienced that you say, I failed so bad, I'm gonna beat myself up my whole entire life until I leave this world. Because so many people tell me, oh man, when I was a kid, I did this and that. And I hear the same voices telling me I'm no good. I'm hearing those same voices saying, man, you will never amount to anything. I remember that teacher telling me, oh man, you better just go to trade school. Because you ain't going to be nothing. You can't go to 4-year college. Man, I can't go to 4-year college. Man, I got to go to 2-year college and transfer to 4-year college. All these things is trapped up inside your soul, which is your spirit, which is your soul, which is your mind. And it's sitting there waiting for a trigger to trigger it to your memory. And once it gets in your memory and you recognize it, you're going to react to it the same way you reacted to it when it first happened. Emotions is energy and motion. Whatever emotion you attach to an experience, whatever triggers it, triggers that emotion, triggers that energy to give you the same feeling you had when you first experienced it. When you first experienced that whatever, when you first experienced it, you had an emotional reaction. And that emotional reaction, you attached it to that experience, whether good or bad. We're talking about the bad stuff now. Every experience has no emotion attached to it unless you attach it to that experience. Two people can have the same experience. If you have no emotion attached to it, it's just an experience. If you have no emotion attached to it, it's just an experience. But you attach an emotion to the experience, it changes the whole way you look at that thing. And I'm going to give you a good example. I just told you my father died when I was 16 in my arms. I blamed myself. I carried it for almost 10 years. But the thing that changed everything for me, I was having a pity party for myself inside my sister's room. And I was, oh man, I'm the one who caused Jimmy to die. I could have saved him. I didn't know how to do CPR, but I could have did something. And she looked at me. She said, what's wrong with you? I was crying. I wasn't crying like that, but I'm just giving you an example. All right, oh man, I'm the reason he died. She's like, what's wrong with you? She started too when she get excited. What's wrong with you? You stupid? Yeah, she called me stupid. She like, what's wrong with you? Mom, come in. She's like, what's wrong with you, boy? I'm the reason he died. I didn't know how to do CPR. She was like, man up. What's wrong with you? But this was like, he think he, don't you know when the paramedics came, they said he was still alive when they got here? I was like, what? What you say? Remember the TV show? What you say, Willis? I said, what you say? She's like, yeah, they said he was still alive when they got there. My mother said, you didn't know that? I was like, I didn't know that. I was having a pity party with myself, thinking I could have done more to save my father, not realizing I did just enough for the paramedics to do what they have to do, but they couldn't do anything else. And she's like, you think you didn't do nothing? I was like, he might be alive today. I didn't know how to do CPR. The paramedics said you did just enough to keep him alive until they got here, but he was whatever the case, his heart was so messed up, or whatever the case is, he died on the way to the hospital. I'm like, what? I'm like, whoa. That information changed my life. And that don't change my life, changed my mindset. I didn't know it back then, but it changed my mindset. I'm like, so I did do enough. And I started feeling good. And then this is what really solidified the emotional attachment or the energy, which is an emotion attached to that experience I just experienced. My mother said, you gave him enough time to see you before he transitioned to the other side. I was like, what? She's like, you don't know it, but he was there when you was born, but you was there when he left. You was the first person who saw him when you was born, and you was the last person he saw when he left. I was like, oh, I started crying again. You know I'm gonna cry. I started crying again. Whoa. I mean, that solidified that experience by my mother telling me that, number one. Number two, it solidified that emotional attachment of that experience, knowing that he saw me when I was coming into the world, and he saw me when he was leaving the world. I gave him enough time to see me, trying to save him, keep him here in this world. That my mindset now is like, even though if you do a little, it could mean a lot. Change your mindset by changing the emotional experiences that you have. Change the emotion that you attach to whatever experience it is, because that experience, I thought I could have done more. And it's my fault he's not here. The emotion attached to it was negative. The emotion attached to that experience was, I'm not good enough. I never amount to nothing. I failed. All those emotions was wrapped up in that experience. And every time I tried to do something, man, it opens up and say, yeah, remember that? Remember you tried and you couldn't do nothing? Remember you said you all this stuff and all that stuff take over you and all this stuff come back? And every emotion got another emotion attached to it. Depression came. Frustration came. Anger came. All those emotions came in when that first emotion of failure came in. Failure was like, yo, come on over. I got a new one. Come on over. You think he failed? Yo, depression, come over here and tell him what he really did. Frustration came over and said, yo, don't you think he can't do that? I know he can't do it. I'm going to tell him he can't do it. All those emotions are speaking to you. But what I'm here to tell you, what I'm here to say to you, attach or reattach a new emotion to that experience that you had in the past, that you say you were a failure, that you say I never amount to anything, or whatever the issue is, that emotion that you attach to it, attach a new emotion. Energy and motion. I don't care what it is. You are fearfully and wonderfully made. There's nobody in this world like you. God created you one of a kind. Nobody else has your fingerprint. Nobody else can do what you do. You have people assigned to you. You got people waiting to hear what you have to say. I'm speaking life to you now. You might not be able to leave a comment. You might not be able to say anything. But God said you are fearfully and wonderfully made. Your experiences that you had in the past, and you attach a negative emotion to it, attach another emotion to that experience. Whatever it is. It could be something so bad you say, I don't even want to remember it anymore. Okay, so attach the emotion of, thank God I'm here. Thank God I survived it. Thank God that what I went through, I'm not going to go through anymore because I am a child of the Most High. I went through that to help those people who was going through it. I went through that to help people come out of the situation that they're in. I am here. Put in the comment section, hashtag I'm here. Because that's one thing that changed everything for me. Attaching the correct emotion to that experience. Because if you don't, you're going to go around the same mountain all over again. If you don't, you're going to go around the same situation all over again. I don't want you to go through 10 years thinking that you're a failure when you wasn't a failure, you was a success. Because he was there when I was born, I was there when he left. He was one of the first person I saw when I came into this world. I was the last person he saw when he left this world. I think that's a success. That I did enough and remembered enough to keep him alive. That's what I'm telling you. Don't think it's strange that you're listening to what I'm saying to you today. But that one thing that changed everything is my mindset. Realizing every experience you have, you attach an emotion to it. Attach the correct. See, I'm making up words again. Attach the correct emotion to your experience so that when it pops up, when you get triggered, it's not going to cause you to stop moving forward. Because, yeah, some experience you're going to say, oh, man, I was afraid, I was scared. Yeah, sometimes it's good for you to have that emotion. But I'm talking about those emotions that you connect to an experience that's going to cause you to freeze, that's going to cause you to stop, that's going to cause you to say, man, I agree with that. I was dumb then. I was this, I was that. Don't agree with it. Just recognize it and reframe it and rechange it. Because you have more power than you realize. You have more power than you can even imagine. You're just not aware of it. And since you're not aware of it, you're thinking you're just here. You're not just here. You're not just here. You have a plan and a purpose. God sent you here for a purpose. And the purpose is that plan he designed for you before the foundation of the world. If you choose to operate in it, everything is laid out for you. If you choose to experience the things he set up for you before you were sent here, you can experience the good life here on this earth. That's why I'm telling you, the mindset, your mindset has to change. Mine has changed. Because so many times I say, I don't want to be on YouTube. I'm not going on YouTube. I don't want to say nothing on YouTube. I'll be in the background, but no. My mindset changed. I know I got people to sign to me. I know I got people waiting to hear what I got to say. That's why I started the podcast, Anthony Speaks Life. Because every time I get on YouTube and start a video, I start motivating people. I start inspiring people. People telling me, speak more, keep on talking. I like what you're saying. I'm talking about YouTube. They say, talk more about my life. What should I do here? What should I do there? Look in the comment sections. That's why I started the podcast, Anthony Speaks Life. I don't despise small beginnings. Small beginnings lead to bigger, and the biggest experiences you can have. Because I know out of 8 billion people in the world, I know I got at least one that's going to hear me speak. Out of 8 billion people in the world, I know I got at least 100. Out of 8 billion people in the world, I know I got at least 1,000. Come on. I got what? 10 people here now? I got at least 10 people want to hear me say what I got to say, right? So don't let anything stop you from doing what you desire to do. What you think God called you to do, speak. God, you think God called you to get on YouTube? Get on YouTube. You think God called you to write a book? Write a book. Whatever you feel that God has called you to do, or you desire to do, as long as it's not hurting nobody, harming anybody, putting anybody down, go ahead and do it. Because your mindset is telling you, man, I want to do it, but I don't know how. I don't want to do it, but I can't do it because I don't know how. How is none of your business. If you think about an idea, or if you think about something, you have an idea, that means you can do it. If you got an idea to do something, that means you can do it.